Hello and welcome to my extended technical definition of mob grazing and its big role on regenerative agriculture. Mob grazing is a process in which cattle are put in high quantities to graze small parcels of land with minimum grazing exposure. There are three different types of grazing practices farmers and ranchers typically go by. The first one being stock grazing. It's a practice in which cattle are kept in a large parcel and keep eating grass continuously as it grows. With 200 days of a grazing season, plants are exposed to grazing. Rotational grazing is a practice in which cattle are on a 24-day rotation of parcels, leading to a 50-day exposure to grazing. Mob grazing is a minimum exposure practice with fast rotations of cattle on parcels. This is typically a 4-day exposure to grazing. When to implement cattle. Once the vegetation is beginning to discolor or be at its peak growth or maturity, that's when you want to put cows on it. The extent of grazing. Limiting the amount of time cattle can graze is crucial in ensuring proper plant health. Overgrazing is not really a factor of grazing too many animals on a piece of ground. It's the extended exposure of grazing over too much time. As you can see in plant A, it has been overgrazed so that the foliage is just down to nothing almost. It's just a little stubble. The roots are going to have to significantly put a bunch of nutrients up into that foliage to try and resubmit that regrowth. This is going to have serious effects on the yields of that plant or that plant's health. Plant B was not grazed down as far. As you can see, the root health is able to maintain its structure and come back to full health. So here's a real life example that we're currently doing with a neighboring farmer. He planted a 74-acre field of triticale with the intent of rebuilding his topsoil by having our cattle graze it. So as you can see, it's parceled off. I have fenced it into three parts. There's a 12-acre piece, a 30-acre piece, and a 32-acre piece, all with varying days on the amount of time those cattle will be implemented on those pieces. So instead of just putting them all out onto one piece and having them out there for an extended period of time, say 3 to 4 weeks, you'll see a much greater amount of improvement through the tactics of mob grazing and parceling it out, as well as improving that soil and not making it too compact for the farmer. It kind of works as a natural fertilizer. With the addition of mob grazing, farmers have the ability to lower synthetic inputs. For example, our neighboring farmer. Ranchers can increase the pounds put on by animals by having better rangeland for their cattle. When the rangeland keeps coming back in better health, that means more foliage for the cattle to eat, and that means more pounds put on the cattle. Improvements of the environment and ecosystem can definitely be seen with the reduced inputs of synthetic fertilizers or also the amount of regrowth that you'll see and reduced desertification that you'll see with rangeland cattle. It has some serious helpful benefits for the ecosystem and environment.